I would first like to ask you guys whether you know the meaning of the word Revanta. Come on, guys, like bomb the chat with your answers. No, I don't see any answers, so no problem. The meaning of this word is lit or brilliance. I mean, yeah, that's what we actually are. Absolutely fantastic, lovable, and passionate about the stuff we do in here. We are young guns of NIT JSR who design electric vehicles. We started in 2009, and believe me, my friends, since then there has been no looking back. Looking next, we aim not just to design an electric vehicle, but to design a high mileage electric vehicle with minimum carbon footprint. So can you guys, like, I used the word carbon footprint. Can you guys explain me about something about carbon footprint? Anything? I would give you a minute, 30 seconds or 40 seconds for that. Carbon footprint. Zero carbon emission. That's nice, Ayush Nitin. So to all those who find this word carbon footprint to be a new term, putting it simply, it is the amount of CO2 which gets released in the atmosphere due to any activity. Yeah, multiple answers. Yeah, all of them are right. All of them are completely right. Byproducts having carbon components being released. That's nice. Moving on to the next slide. I would like to mention that our team believes in the fact that change, my friends, is the only constant. This is what is reflected under the heading Revanta, the shift. You see, we earlier used to make gasoline vehicles. That is the vehicle which is run mostly on diesel and all. But we recognized the power of electric vehicles early on and shifted our focus to electric vehicles in 2014. We did not just stop at that. Even during this unfortunate pandemic, which was more than a bad luck for us and all of you present here, we were forced to stop all our team related works. But thanks to our grit and our seniors that made us what we are today, we moved from 3 wheels to 4 wheels. And believe it or not, guys, however simple this may sound, 3 wheel to 4 wheel phenomena, it took a lot of research for this transition. Again, I'd like to quote, or more, I would like to generally specify on this point that change is the only constant, and our constant upgrading nature shows that it is in our bloods. We expect each and every one of you who is present here and who is not even present here due to some reasons or the other to be the future of innovation and evolution of first the team Revanta, then NIT Jamshedpur, and then for the nation. Among the many reasons which I have stated for you to join Revanta, allow me to add one more reason, and that is our history and achievements. So under the section's history, you might be seeing ESVC and IASC written multiple times. Do you know what ESVC and IASC stand for? Anyone? Again, a 30-second time will be given to you for writing the answer basically in the chat. ESVC electric solar vehicle, yeah, championship. Nice. So yes, you all are right. ESVC stands for Electric Solar Vehicle Championship and ISC stands for Indo-Asian Solar Challenge. As you all can see, we were second when we participated in Shell Eco Marathon Asia in 2012, and this was the pre-transformation period. If I talk about the post-transformation period, ESVC 2013 brought for us 4th rank in virtual, 9th overall. Both are a type of competition. Nice. Okay. Our constant efforts showed true colors when we were awarded the first position in virtuals in IESC 2015, in ESBC 17 or 2017, and IASC 2018. We were awarded with 8 accolades via Lightest Vehicle Award, runners up for Endurance, Go Green Award, and others, as you can see in the slide. Our work was so much appreciated that we even received a sponsorship of $3,000, which stands at about 2.25 lakh rupees today. Sorry for the noise which my phone made just now. Looking at ESBC 19, we were sixth in B plan and fourth in design report. Moving on to the next slide. The previous slide, please. Yeah. Moving on to as far as our vision is concerned, I would like to quote Mahatma Gandhi first, who said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." With this notion in our minds, if we want to bring the world one step closer to electric vehicles, let us first set a trend of these vehicles in our college. Let all of us present here put our brains together to design a vehicle which promotes sustainable development. Okay, so again, I used something which might sound new to a few of you, that is sustainable development. Okay, this term is very commonly used, but can you describe sustainable development for me in just, I'll give you like 7 to 8 words or so. Sustainable development, 7 to 8 words, 30 seconds. Eco-friendly development without harming the environment, present plus future. Yeah, the most appropriate answer has been given by Abhinav. That is present plus future. Well, Abhinav, that was very good. So, the age-old yet simple definition for it would be sustainable development is meeting the needs of present generation without disturbing the needs of future generation. That was very appropriately put by Abhinav. I think you put it more in a more appropriate way than I have put it. So congrats, Abhinav, for that. Secondly, we hope that our institute takes pride in calling themselves the proud owners of Revanta. Last but not the least, we aim to inculcate a sense of leadership, responsibility, and mutual respect in each and every member of Team Revanta, whom we lovingly call Revantians. Moving on to the next slide. Our team basically has 5 aspects to it via the electrical team, manufacturing team, corporate affairs, innovation, and web design. With this, I conclude the introductory part, and as you all move further, you'll be taken through each of the 5 aspects which you see on your screens right now. Sorry for the hesitation. In the same order. So guys, fasten your seatbelts, relax, and pay attention to the minutest details of what you're about to witness, as no matter whatever your interest may be, or even if you don't have any interest, there's always something in the store for you when it comes to Team Revanta. I finally pass over the baton to my friends of the electrical unit.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kumar Sankalp, second year electrical, Team Revanta. So, guys, when we talk about solar electric vehicles, it is incomplete without the term electrical.
Sankalp, you are muted.
Sorry for the inconvenience. I would start again. So, guys, when we talk about solar electric vehicles, it is incomplete without the term electrical. Thus, here we go with our very first unit, the electrical team. Electrical unit mainly consists of 4 subunits. They are solar panel, BLDC motor, MPPT, and battery. Moving on to the next slide. We first start with our very first subunit, that is solar panel. When we talk about solar panels, we would first need to talk about solar cells. It is the most basic building block of a solar panel. It converts light energy to electrical energy. So looking at the components of a solar panel, it has 6 most basic units. They are anodized aluminum frame. It generally protects the solar panel and holds it in its shape. Second is highly transparent tempered glass. Generally 3 to 4 mm in thickness. Its main function is to allow efficient dissipation of the heat so as to stop overheating. Why it is transparent? Well, the answer is quite simple. So that none of the light is blocked by the solar panel system. Moving next, we look at encapsulated material EVA. EVA stands for ethynyl vinyl acetate and is generally helpful in absorbing shocks and vibrations in a solar panel. And basically, it sandwiches the photovoltaic cell. Next is photovoltaic solar cell. It is made up of silicon, which is generally of two types, monocrystalline and polycrystalline. Next is insulating black sheet. It is made up of a mix of polymers and play its role in bearing the moisture into solar cells and giving mechanical strength. Finally, junction box. It consists of diodes, connectors, and other circuitry. We would look at its functionality in a little while after exploring some more basic terminologies and mechanisms. Moving on to the next slide, we would look to about brief introspections of construction and working of a solar cell. A solar cell, as we all do know, is the heart of a solar panel. So, looking at it would be very necessary if we want to advance any further in the fascinating world of electric vehicles. Construction wise, we do not go into a lot of details. We just keep in mind the three components. It is basically a PN junction diode. It is generally made up of silicon or gallium semiconductor. The thickness of P layer is larger than the thickness of N layer. Now we would look at brief working as well. The diode used here is a photosensitive diode. When light of a particular wavelength and above falls on a diode, electrons start moving towards N side and holes towards P side. As a result, a polarity is developed which in turn assists the flow of electricity. On an average, a solar cell would produce approximately 0.46 volts of electricity. Now, we have known enough to explore about the working of solar cell, so let's recall what we have seen till now. We have seen about basic construction of solar panel. We have seen about basic construction and working of a solar cell. Now we will look at our final component, that is working of a solar panel. One solar array would consist of multiple solar panels. One solar panel would consist of multiple solar cells. If one solar produces approximately 0.46 volts, a solar panel consisting of, let's say, 32 cells would give 14.72 volts. So the light would first fall on transparent glass, followed by anti-reflection coating. From here, this light is made to fall on solar cells, which do the magic of converting light energy to electrical energy. Now comes the role of junction box, which provides an interface between DC input and output cables. They would rather, other than this, generally play two more important roles. They are keep power flow in one direction and prevent power from feeding back into the panel when there is no sunshine. So this is all about solar panels. Now I would request my teammate Sania to present the further presentation.
Thank you, Sankalp. Good evening, everyone. I am Sanya from second year electrical department, team Revanta. Today I am going to explain about BLDC. Now, we need to convert electrical energy into mechanical energy, right? So, commonly there exist two types of motor for this purpose. First one is BLDC motor, means brushless DC motor, and second one is induction motor. Now, we use BLDC motor, but why not induction motor? Well, I will explain this with the benefits of using BLDC over induction motor. First one is BLDC has high efficiency, approximately 90 to 96%. Second one is BLDC has high power density, and third one is BLDC has no brushes and commutator, hence no sparks. Means brushes produce sparks which is not suitable for some places like petrol pumps, and brushes also produce noise like in audio studio it comes like background noise. Now we can see the figure of BLDC. So what is BLDC motor? A, a BLDC motor is an electric motor which is operated on direct current supply. Like in induction motor, first we have to energize brushes and commutator in order to rotate the armature. But in BLDC, there is no such procedure is required, and commutated electronically means to rotate the rotator continuously, we have to add an external device which is called electronic speed controller, which have which sense the rotor position and energize the stator winding. So BLDC is called commutated electronically. Now generally BLDC has two main parts. First one is a stator and second one is rotor. So stator is a stationary part of BLDC and it contains coil arrangement and winding are divided into slots. We can see in the figure. And second one is rotor. So rotor is rotating part of BLDC and it is made up of permanent magnet. We can also see in the figure. That's all from my side. Now I would like to call Bhavya to take over the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanya. Good evening, everyone. Hi, juniors. This is Bhavya from second year electrical department, Team Revanta. So we had enough introduction about brushless DC motor. Let's jump on to the working of brushless DC motor. Let's get started. Brushless DC motor works on the principle of Lorentz force, that is, when a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, it experiences force. Okay, now visualize the working of a brushless DC motor with a video. Here, the rotor of a brushless DC motor is a permanent magnet. परमानेंट मैग्नेट की पोलैरिटी पहले से एग्जिस्ट की होती है, नॉर्थ पोल साउथ पोल लाइक दैट. The stator has a coil arrangement as shown. These windings can be arranged in star or in delta form as you all can see in the video. By applying DC power to the coil will energize and become an electromagnet. The operation of a brushless DC motor is based on the simple force interaction between the permanent magnet and the electromagnet. Now I am going to explain the working both in Hindi and English so that you all can understand well. जब BLDC मोटर के अंदर डीसी सप्लाई दिया जाता है, दैट मीन्स कॉइल को एनर्जाइज किया जाता है. जैसे ही कॉइल में करंट पास किए तो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड प्रोड्यूस हो गया. तो ये मैग्नेटिक फील्ड बनने से नॉर्थ पोल साउथ पोल जनरेट हो गया और रोटर में नॉर्थ पोल साउथ पोल पहले से एग्जिस्ट किया रहता है. एज वी ऑल कैन सी, यहाँ पे परमानेंट मैग्नेट का नॉर्थ पोल है और स्टेटर वाइंडिंग का साउथ पोल है और ये दोनों पोल ऑपोजिट नेचर का है. सो एज वी ऑल नो दैट ऑपोजिट पोल्स अट्रैक्ट ईच अदर. तो रोटर अट्रैक्ट कर लेगी स्टेटर वाइंडिंग को. तो जैसे ही ए वाली वाइंडिंग में करंट पास किए तो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड बन गया, उससे नॉर्थ पोल साउथ पोल जनरेट हो गया और स्टेटर वाइंडिंग में नॉर्थ पोल साउथ पोल जनरेट होगा इन सच अ वे दैट ये रोटर को अट्रैक्ट करेगा. तो जैसे ही ये अट्रैक्ट करने जाएगी तो ए वाइंडिंग एनर्जाइज होना बंद हो जाएगी और बी कॉइल एनर्जाइज हो जाएगी. फिर बी वाइंडिंग अट्रैक्ट हो जाएगी और उसी टाइम बी वाइंडिंग एनर्जाइज होना बंद हो जाएगी. देन सी वाइंडिंग एनर्जाइज हो जाएगी. So इस टाइप से रोटर रोटेट करता है. Okay, now moving ahead, let's watch the working through the video. In this condition, when the coil A is energized, the opposite poles of the rotor and stator are attracted to each other. As rotor nears coil A, coil B is energized, and as rotor nears coil C, now after completing half rotation, coil A is energized with the opposite polarity, and this process is repeated, and rotor continues to rotate. So this way rotor is rotating continuously like this as shown in the video, and this is how a brushless DC motor works, as you all can see in the video. Here one might get a question that how we know that which stator coil to energize and when to energize so that we will get a continuous rotation from the rotor like this. सो हम लोगों को कैसे पता लगेगा दैट कौन सी स्टेटर कॉइल को एनर्जाइज करना है और कब एनर्जाइज करना है सो दैट वी विल गेट अ कंटिन्यूअस रोटेशन. ये काम करता है हॉल सेंसर. In a brushless DC motor, we use an electronic controller for this purpose. A sensor determines the position of the rotor, and based on this information, the controller decides which stator coil to energize. बेसिकली सेंसर सेंस करता है रोटर का मैग्नेटिक फील्ड कौन सी पोजीशन में है और स्टेटर का मैग्नेटिक फील्ड कैसे जनरेट करे सो दैट रोटर रोटेट कर पाए. सेंसर जो है पहले रोटर को चेक करता है रोटर के अंदर कौन कौन से पोल कौन कौन से पोजीशन पर है और उस पोजीशन का सिग्नल इलेक्ट्रिक सर्किट को दिया जाता है, दैट इज इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कंट्रोलर को दिया जाता है और उसके अकॉर्डिंग कॉइल को एनर्जाइज किया जाता है. एंड दिस वे रोटर कंटिन्यूज टू रोटेट. Basically, Hall sensor detects the position of the rotor and energizes the stator winding in a certain sequence in order to rotate the rotor. Like this. So, ऐसा कुछ arrangement रहता है. बाहर वाला पार्ट रोटर एंड अंदर वाला पार्ट स्टेटर रहता है और इसके आगे हॉल सेंसर लगा रहता है. Like this. So now I hope you all guys understand the working of a brushless DC motor. Now moving to the next slide. All the process of working are written here. You all can refer to this slide after orientation. So that's all from my side. I would like Shakil to take over the presentation.
Thank you, Bhavya. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Sakil from 2020 Electrical Batch from Team Revanta, and I am going to discuss about MPPT. So before beginning, I would like to ask a question. Can we connect solar panel directly to battery? Is it good for battery? Let's find out. We all know that weather do not remain constant, right? As weather changes regularly, output of PV module will also vary. So battery will get sometime more or sometime less voltage than its rated voltage. So battery will not charge uniformly, and also battery will continue to charge even after it get fully charged, that is overcharging, which will heat up the battery, and ultimately this all will affect battery's performance. So answer is clearly no. We can't connect solar panel directly to battery. And to solve all this issue, we use maximum power point tracking. The MPPT tracks the voltage and current from the solar panel to determine when the maximum power occurs in order to extract maximum power, and then adjust the voltage to the battery to optimize the proper charging. As shown in graph, blue graph is IV characteristics of PV module and red graph shows power of PV module. For different voltage and current, we have different power. But at point MPP, we have maximum power of PV module, and MPPT इसी point को track करता है. एंड देन MPPT इस वोल्टेज को बैटरी के रेटेड वोल्टेज से कंपेयर करते हैं. अगर सोलर आउटपुट वोल्टेज ज्यादा हुआ तो इसको कम करके रेटेड वोल्टेज के अराउंड ले आता है, एंड इफ सोलर आउटपुट वोल्टेज कम हुआ तो उसे एम्पलीफाई करके रेटेड वोल्टेज के अराउंड ले आता है. नाउ वर्किंग ऑफ MPPT. MPPT is DC to DC converter which operates by taking DC input from PV module and changing it to AC and converting it back to a different DC voltage and current to exactly match the PV module to the battery. Now uses of MPPT. It helps in uniform charging of battery and prevents battery from overcharging, and also prevents battery discharge at night through solar panel. Now I have one simple question for you all. What is use or purpose of inverter? You can answer in chat box. Why we use inverter? Yeah, I'm getting answer. DC to AC, to convert AC to DC. No run. Yeah, the correct answer is it converts DC to AC. I would love to know your opinion in next question. What charges battery? Voltage or current? बैटरी को चार्ज करने के लिए कौन रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, वोल्टेज और करंट? एनी गेसेस? You can answer in the chat box. I'm getting answer current, voltage, current, voltage. The mixed answer is coming voltage, current, voltage, like that. The most answer is voltage, 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 voltage. Okay. Actually, it is current that charges battery. Current is rate of flow of charge. कि चार्ज और करंट कितना एंटर कर रहा है बैटरी में, and it is charge that charges the battery. Voltage only helps in flow of charge or to overcome resistance. Also, voltage is there to regulate current so that it doesn't charge battery too rapidly, which can cause it to heat up and may explode. So it is current or charge that battery counts. That's all from my side. Now I will hand over to my colleague Aditya. Aditya, please continue.
Okay, thank you, Shakil. So, hi freshers, myself Aditya from second year civil branch, And our next topic of discussion is battery. So battery is a very simple device which converts chemical energy into electrical energy. And if we talk about its working, then it works in two phases. First one is the charging, in which in the presence of power supply, electrons are attracted to the positive pole, leaving the ion. And when the power supply is removed, the electrons flows back to the ion, generating electricity. And the process is what we call discharging. Do note that our team uses lithium ion battery. Okay, I repeat, our team uses lithium ion battery. And in the end, I would like to give you all a small task, which is you have to try to find out like what can be the possible reason of using lithium ion battery. Okay, so all right, this is it from the electrical part, and I do hope you all have enjoyed it. And before moving further, here's a quick question for you all. It's a simple yes no question that you have to answer in the chat box. So the question is, can you imagine an athlete without any bone or skeleton? Can you imagine an athlete without any bone or skeleton? Okay. No, 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 no. Okay, yeah. So the obvious answer is no. And in the same way, you can understand like if the electrical team is like the brain, then our next part, the manufacturing team, is like the skeleton. And for explaining all those beautiful mechanism that goes under the manufacturing part, we have Sanjeev with us. So Sanjeev, over to you.
Thank you, electrical team. Hello, freshers. As Aditya told you the importance of manufacturing in making a car, now I, Sanjeev Pratap Verma, from second year mechanical engineering department, along with my team, would like to come up with the manufacturing unit of Team Revanta. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah. The manufacturing team comprises with chassis, braking system, steering system, transmission system, and suspension system. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah. I am going to explain about chassis. But before begin, I just want to make sure, are you guys ready to take deep dive into the world of manufacturing? Tell me in the chat box. You can just say yes. Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay, okay. I can see many responses in the chat box. Now, so we can move on. So moving on to the next slide. Yeah. So after hearing chassis, the first question which comes in our mind is what is chassis? So a chassis is nothing but the skeleton which supports the engine blocks and other auxiliaries, such as the doors, bumpers, and other equipments in an automobile. You can see in the top right corner, we have illustrated a typical chassis skeleton. Now shift your attention to the bottom left corner. This is a roll cage, and a roll cage is basically a frame built in the passenger compartment of a vehicle to protect its occupants from being injured or killed in an accident. And I have designed this roll cage in SolidWorks, and SolidWorks is our one of the sponsors. We have premium key of SolidWorks. When you will join our team, we will provide you the premium key of SolidWorks, and also we will teach you how to navigate in SolidWorks. Now let's have a look on functions of chassis. So chassis supports vehicles and passengers weight. Chassis withstands stresses due to road conditions, braking, and acceleration. Chassis provides adequate space for mountings, capability to steer the vehicle, isolation between road and passengers. Moving on to the next slide. Classification of chassis. So chassis can be classified into three categories based on the relative position of driver's cabin and engine. First one is conventional chassis, second one is semi-power chassis, and third one is fully powered chassis. So you can have better idea by visualizing these pictures. So this is all from my side. From further presentation, I would like to call up Anushka. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Good evening, everyone. Myself Anushka from Mechanical Branch, and I am here to give you an overview of the braking portion. When we drive a vehicle, ability to stop fast is more important than how fast it can go. With this note, let's move on to the braking portion. Next slide. Braking system is a group of mechanical, electronic, and hydraulically activated components which use friction or heat to stop a vehicle. The basic working principle is that it converts kinetic energy into heat energy, which in turn stops the vehicle. Now let's see in the figure the location of the brakes in a vehicle. We generally use two types of brakes, that is disc and drum brake in a vehicle. Mostly, disc brakes are on the front wheel and drum brakes on the rear wheel. This is because when we apply brakes due to inertia, whole weight of the system shifts to the front. So a greater stopping force has to be provided at the front to effectively slow down the vehicle. So disc brakes offer higher stopping force as compared to drum brakes. That's why they are on the front wheels. Moving on to next slide. Now let's discuss about disc brakes. These brakes works on Pascal's law and main component of a disc brake are rotor, caliper, wheel hub, piston, brake pad and master cylinder. So let's see the working from the figure. When the driver pushes the brake pedals, this force is converted to hydraulic pressure by the master cylinder. This pressure in brake fluid pushes the inner brake against the rotor, and the fluid's backward force will push the caliper frame, which makes the outer brake pad to squeeze against the other side of the disc rotor. So due to this, friction will be generated and the wheel will stop. In our team Revanta, we uses disc brakes, and there are several advantages of disc brake as compared to other brake. That is, heat dissipation is managed in this, and it also works well in moisture because disc brakes has holes in the rotor, which manages the heat and moisture effectively. So this was all from my side. Now I'd like Prachi to explain the steering portion.
Greetings everyone. Myself Prachidas from Mechanical Engineering Department. Let's understand the steering system now. If chassis is backbone of whole solar vehicle, then steering system is legs. Let's imagine the world without turns. Can you think of a vehicle without steering system? You may write it in a chat box. No, right. So it is pretty inconvenient for a vehicle to move without steering system. So to make every turns convenient, steering system comes up. Basically, it is a key interface between driver and vehicle. It is a set of mechanism used to control the path and allow the driver to guide the vehicle. Moving on to the next slide. So, steering system carries out the process of running the vehicle in desired direction by turning usually the front wheel. Now, the question comes up, what does it actually do? In other words, what are its functions? It helps in swinging the wheels to the left or right direction. It helps in turning the vehicle at the will of a driver. It is used to minimize tire wear and tear. It also absorbs major part of road shocks. Moving on to the next slide. As you can see on the right hand side, components of steering system are steering wheel, steering column, tie rod, steering knuckle, steering arm, front spring and lot more. So the most commonly used steering mechanism in modern vehicle is rack and pinion type. This rack and pinion type is common manual type of steering gearbox. In this type of steering, a pinion is provided at the bottom end of steering column. The teeth of pinion wheel is enmeshed with the corresponding teeth provided on the rack, the end of which are connected to the stub axle through the rod. The rotating motion of the pinion operates the rack on forth and aft direction, which helps to move the vehicle. Moving on to the next slide. Let's see how this mechanism manages to steer the vehicle using this video. A rack is at the center of this mechanism. This rack is constrained so that it can only move in straight line. The pinion, which comes from the steering, can make the rack move. A part called steering arm is attached to both ends of the wheels. This part is constrained so it can only have a rotational motion along the axis zone. The steering arm is connected to the car frame via a roller bearing. This makes sure that it can only turn in straight direction. A tie rod connects the steering arm to the rack. The tie rod can have both translational and rotational motion. Now just observe what happens to the wheel when the rack moves. You can see that left and right wheels are turning at different angles. If you track the meeting point of left and right wheels, you can see the meeting point always lies on the rear wheel line. Thus, the rack and pinion mechanism perfectly satisfy the condition needed for the steering. Due to this, the vehicle makes a turn without slipping. The steering we have discussed so far was manual type. Nowadays, electric motor assisted power steering is widely used in most cars. Moving on to the next slide. There are some important steering geometry which we should keep in mind, like caster angle, camber angle, kingpin inclination, toe in, toe out, and lot more. For now, you should focus only on the names. You will get to know all these once you become the part of team. You can ask your doubts now in the chat section. We will be going through it and will answer at the end. That's all from my side. I would like to hand over the presentation to Akash now.
Everyone, all my juniors and my present seniors and my batchmates. So myself Akash Sharma from Civil Department, and I would like to present transmission system. Next. Now, what is transmission system? A car transmission, also known as a transmission system. It is the mechanism by which power created by engine is transferred to driving wheels. This part of the wheel is very important in the determining of power and functionality of your engine system. There are two types of transmissions included: automatic transmissions and manual transmission. The component of transmission systems are engine, clutch, driving shaft, differential, rear wheels, tires, universal joints. Now, I would like to hand over to Pratibha for further slides of transmission system.
Thank you, Akash. Good evening, everyone. I am Pratibha from second year Mechanical Engineering, Team Revanta. I am here to elaborate on differential used in transmission system. So let's get started. Differential is an integral part of four-wheelers. So wheels receive power from the engine via drive shaft, and the main function of the differential is to allow these wheels to turn at different RPMs while receiving power from the engine. Now consider these wheels which are negotiating a turn. Clearly the left wheel has to travel more distance than the right wheel, which means that the left wheel has to rotate at a higher speed. If these wheels were connected using a solid shaft as shown here, the wheels would have to slip to accomplish the turn, right? Now think about it. They will have same angular velocity. Isn't it correct? but must have different linear velocity at the same time. But how can we achieve this? Well, this is exactly where a differential comes in. The ingenious mechanism in a differential allows left and right wheels to turn at different RPMs while transferring power to both wheels. So far, what I have discussed is about open or standard differential. It is capable of turning wheels at different RPMs, but it has one major drawback. So we can understand the drawback by considering a situation. So the situation goes here. When one wheel of a vehicle is on a surface with good traction, as you can see, one wheel of a vehicle is on surface with good traction and another wheel is on a slippery track. In this case, a standard differential will send the majority of the power to the slippery wheel. So the vehicle won't be able to move. To overcome this problem, limited slip differentials were introduced. So this was all from my side. Now I would like Rajat to take further the presentation.
Thanks, Pratibha. Good evening, everyone present here. Myself, Rajat from second year mechanical, and I will brief you about suspension system. So let's start with our next slide. Now, imagine juniors. You are traveling on a bumpy under construction road, and in first case you are traveling on an old auto rickshaw, and in the second case you are traveling in a medium range car. On which vehicle you will feel more comfortable? Old auto rickshaw or car? You can drop your replies in chat box. Car. I can see all of you are writing car. But why car? Why in car you feel more comfortable? The reason is presence of good quality of suspension system. Car has better suspension system than auto rickshaw. So suspension system provides comfortability. But not only comfort, it also helps to keep firm contact of wheel with the road, and it also increases the efficiency of vehicle. Suspension system comprises of system of spring, shock absorbers and linkages that connect the vehicle to its wheel. Now let's move on to the next slide to see types of suspension system. In this slide, you can see two figures. The first figure depicts the dependent suspension system. In dependent suspension system, both the right and the left wheel is attached to the same solid axle. Due to same solid axle, when one wheel hits the bump, the second wheel also makes a slight tilt. But if you'll see the second picture, in this picture you can easily see that the both wheels are independent to each other. When any wheel will hit the bump, the second wheel will be unaffected. Now, juniors, can you guess which suspension does our team use, dependent or independent? Drop your answers in chat box. In. Great, all of you are writing right. We use independent suspension. Now let's move on to the next slide and see which independent suspension we use. There are several suspension systems like rocker arm, McPherson strut, wishbone, etc. But we will understand the widely used suspension system which many luxurious car companies also use across the globe. That is wishbone suspension. In this suspension system, we have two A-shaped rod called wishbone. Between these A-shaped rod, we have spring and shock absorbers, as you can see in diagram. The narrower side of the A is attached to the wheel, and the broader side of the A is attached to the chassis. In this suspension, doing wheel alignment is also easy. When you will come to team, you will learn in detail to analyze suspension system through different softwares and to manufacture it. That's all from suspension system for today. I would like Aditya to continue.
So thanks, Rajat. So this is it from the manufacturing team. And I hope you all have not only learned, but also visualized some new and interesting terms and its mechanism also. So freshers, till now, we have pretty much covered all the components required to make a solar hybrid vehicle. But tell me one thing, can we make a car without any type of fundings or monetary support? Tell me in the chat box. No, 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 no. So yeah, the obvious answer is no. And the upcoming section is that part of the team that deals with this very problem. And also, let me tell you something. If any one of you have enjoyed watching the famous show Shark Tank, then next part has also something that may ignite your curiosity also. So yeah, the next part is the corporate affairs. And for explaining it, we have Shivani ma'am with us. So Shivani, over to you.
Thank you, Aditya. I'm Shivani from PI's second year, and today I would like to give some brief information about corporate affairs. So, corporate affairs deals with the non-technical aspects of Team Revanta, which includes its financing, marketing, and public relations. It is responsible for both internal and external communication, as well as investor relation. Moving on to the next slide, we see that the corporate affairs unit is further subdivided into business plan and sponsorship, which will be explained in detail in the further slides. Moving on to the next slide, we see business plan. A business plan is a written document that describes the nature of the business, the strategy used for sales and marketing, the financial background, and a projected profit and loss statement. It is basically a roadmap that provides directions so a business can plan its future and help it avoid bumps in the road. Now you must wonder, why do we need a business plan for Team Revanta? A B plan is used to attract investment without establishing a proven track record or to secure a lending. Similarly, a business plan can help get funding or bring on new business partners. Investors want to feel confident that they'll see a return on the investment. Business plan is that tool you'll use to convince people that investing in the team is a smart choice. Next, for many entrepreneurs, developing a business plan, Aditya, previous slide. Okay, for many entrepreneurs, developing a business plan is the first step in the process of deciding whether to actually start a business. Determining if an idea fails on paper can help a prospective founder avoid wasting money and time on a business with no realistic hope of success. Moving on to the next slide, we see the parts of a business plan. A good business plan should include the following key concepts. First is the executive summary. It briefly explains what your company is and why it will be successful. This includes your mission statement, your product or service, and basic information about your company's leadership team, employees, and location. Next is the company description. It provides detailed information about your company, including the problem your business solves, list of consumers, organization, or businesses your company plans to serve. Next, we have competitive analysis. A good understanding of your industry outlook and target market is required. Competitive research will show you what other businesses are doing and what their strengths are. Next, we have organization and management. This describes the legal structure of your business, tells you how your company will be structured and who will run it. Emphasis is given on how each person's unique experience will contribute to the success of your venture. Next, we have marketing and sales. Your goal in this section is to describe how you'll attract and retain customers. You'll also describe how sales will actually happen. And finally, we have financial projections. Financial projection and estimates help entrepreneurs, lenders, and investors
to objectively evaluate a company's potential for success. That's all from my side. Now I would like to hand over the presentation to Swasti.
Good evening, everyone. Myself Swasti. I am here to present about the topic sponsorship. It is an act of supporting an event financially by providing products and giving service. It is a very important backbone given to the team because it helps in funding. In practical view of the world, when we see many companies closing because lack of funding. So it shows the importance of sponsorship. This is an act of giving money or resources from the company for an event or non-profit organizations. It also provides communication skill, personality development, and develop confidence. Purpose of sponsorship is to contribute for CSR, which is corporate social responsibility. CSR in simple terms means giving service or charity to the society. It is a form of international private business self-regulation which aims to contribute to societal goals of philanthropic or activist or charitable nature by supporting. At organization levels, CSR is generally understood as a strategic initiative that contributes to a brand's reputation. CSR strategies encourage the company to make a positive impact on communities, shareholders, and others. Common CSR actions are environment sustainability, which includes recycling, water management, renewable energy, and adopting leadership in energy and environmental design. Human capital enhancement. It provides additional resources for capacity of local employees, including technical and professional training. Ethical marketing. They do not try to manipulate or falsely advertise to potential consumers. Our previous sponsors are Tata Steel, Bank of Baroda, Exide. This is all from my side. Over to Aditya.
Thank you, Swasti. So, freshers, it's time for a riddle. So, I will give you all two keywords. Okay. And what you have to do is that you have to relate those two keywords. And the answer I'm expecting is actually name of a man. Okay. I will give you two keywords and the answer I'm expecting is name of a man. Okay. So the two keywords are electric vehicle and the another is Bitcoin. You have to answer in the chat box. Okay. So Pratik is the one who answered it first. So yeah, the answer is Elon Musk. Okay. But it's not over yet. In the second part, in the very next slide, I will show you a very famous comment of him. But in that comment, actually a word will be missing. Okay. And you have to guess that word and again comment in the chat box. So the next slide is here. This is the statement. A word is missing. You have to guess it in the chat box. Okay, I can see a lot of responses. Nice. Yeah, Ayush is the one who gave it the right answer, or okay, someone else is also there, but in my PC, Ayush is the one who answered it first. So the correct answer or the correct word I was looking for is the innovating. So all the young innovators, pay attention because it's time for Team Revanta to show their innovation part. And for presenting it, we have Ashish again. So Ashish, over to you.
So, higher back freshers. Since substantial part has been covered of the PPT, I would like to ask you, how's the Josh? I want the answers in the chat. Yeah. Hi, sir. That was what I was expecting. Hope you remember me from the intro part. I'm back again with some part of innovation. Let me tell you guys, my batchmates and my seniors are all moved by your enthusiasm, and especially by some questions which you have asked in the chat. We'll come to those later. I hope that I'm pleasant enough to your ears, and I'll be continuing with some part of innovation as well. Finally, in the last, I'll be leaving you with some suspense also. I think you all would like that suspense. First of all, let me familiarize you with the word innovation. Thinking out of the box is what innovation is, if put in simple words. See, look, if you go to any competition, you obviously go there to win. So how will you win from the crowd? Like if you look different from the crowd, only that's when the judges will get attracted to you. And that is what innovation actually does for you. It makes you look different in the crowd. So I would say that the more the innovation, more are your chances of dominating an event. So there are various tools which help in making a system a smart system. Moving on to the next slide. So the first tool which I would like to present before you is an Arduino Uno board. You can call it the brain of any innovative system. This hardware instills some sort of control in the system. How? That's a question of later. It is a low cost and open source microcontroller that can be used in multifarious electronic projects. For instance, a traffic light can be easily designed using an Arduino board. Moving on to the next slide. I present before you IoT, or the Internet of Things. See, this is a term which can have many varied applications. But roughly speaking, what was Arduino? It gave some control phenomena in the system. Similarly, like IoT is when you enable a device with some processing abilities by using sensors and all that, all those things. It might be a bit tricky for you as of now, like you might not get it if it is a new term to you, but once you get used to it, it will become a very interesting world for all of you to explore. For instance, if any vehicle has the ability to detect an obstacle, it has some sensing abilities, and this can be implemented using IoT. Moving on to the next slide. So this is my personal favorite. I would like to talk about multisim. Why is it my personal favorite? I'll narrate that through an incident which I had encountered or confronted, whatever you can say. See, I had to learn about this multisim in my course of analog electronics in third sem. I was inducted into Revanta around second sem, and by the time analog electronics came, like it had passed 4 months or so, I was so proficient in multisim that I did not have to take any extra effort in learning it for my course. So Revanta, I would say, has helped me in developing skills which are necessary even for my semester. There are numerous ways like this in which this team particularly can help you guys. Okay, so I went a little off track. Coming back to multisim, I would say that it is an easy user-friendly tool that uses spice simulation to design any kind of circuitry from the most elementary to most advanced level. I have used two words which might be new to you. First is spice, second is simulation. I would focus on the second word first. I give you 30 seconds, 7 to 8 words. How can you define simulation for me? Like if you had to explain this word simulation to a layman, how would you explain that? Sensation, virtual testing. Virtual testing is somewhat correct. Trying in virtual environment. Yeah, you all know what simulation actually is, virtual reality experience. So, okay, simulation, if put in terms of electrical engineering, I would say realizing a real circuit virtually. If you can verify the Ohm's law or sitting on your desktop or your laptop, that is simulation. Again, now this might be a new term. What is spice? Please don't say masala. What is spice? 30 seconds, 7 to 8 words is all. Okay, I see no answers for spice, I guess. Okay, so I'll explain. I'm there to explain what is spice. Spice is the, okay, that is a software, yeah, right. Spice actually is the abbreviated form of simulation program with integrated circuit emphasis. What did I say? Simulation program with integrated circuit emphasis. To put it simply, it will present before you a list of active and passive elements via capacitors and resistors and all those things. Yeah, Prabhat said it rightly. Okay, I use two words, active and passive elements. I would leave that to you. What is an active element and what is a passive element? That is very basic. You all might be knowing, or you all can research that on the net. That's quite easy. So what I have shown on the screen is a multisim window in which there is boost and buck converter. A boost converter would step up a DC input voltage and a buck converter would step down a DC input voltage. Now coming finally to the suspense part. How are these converters used in electric vehicles? What are the intricate circuit details? What are the elements? You might not recognize a few of the elements used there. If you are intrigued by this converters and all, you could do some research on these two questions. I can repeat these two questions again. How are these converters used in electric vehicles and what are the intricate circuit details? Let's see how inquisitive and innovative are our young lads. I am sure that you all have taken down the important points which might have intrigued your senses. With this, I hand over whatever remains of the innovation unit over to Prabhat.
So thank you, Ashish, for your electrifying presentation. Good evening, everyone. My name is Prabhat Kumar. I'm second year production engineers. So guys, are you excited to know about some of the innovations that we have implemented in our vehicle? So beginning with our very first innovation, we have anti-theft system. We have a 4x4 hex keypad paired up with an Arduino Uno board. We have set a password lock without which the vehicle will not start. On entering the wrong password, access is denied to the driver and an alert is sent. Now moving on to the next innovation, we have accident alert system. We have installed a GSM module with Arduino Uno paired with a vibration sensor. In case of a major accident, the driver might not be able to alert the concerned person. So in case of a major accident, the vibration sensor gives a high reading to the Arduino Uno, which triggers the GSM module to send a message to the registered mobile number. Now moving on to the next innovation, we have automatic battery chamber cooling system. A cooling fan has been installed in the battery chamber of the vehicle. It has been installed using a small motor driver module using Node MCU. The cooling fan works automatically when the temperature of the battery chamber increases over a certain limit. The cooling fan is used for cooling the controller and the battery. The temperature reading is done using the DHT11 sensor. Now, before moving to our next innovation, I would like to ask every tech enthusiast a question. Do you know which technology helps us to navigate our position and directions? I repeat, do you know which technology helps us to navigate our position and directions? Okay, I can see some answers in the chat. Yeah, the answer is GPS. So our next innovation is global positioning system. In this day and day, it has become absolutely necessary for the driver to know his or her global position so that he does not deviate from the specified path. We have used a Neo 6M GPS module, which has been paired to an Arduino and displays the live location of the driver on a LCD display. Now moving on to the next innovation, we have front distance detector. The innovation is useful at night times when even after using the headlights, the visibility for a small obstacle is not clear. Ultrasonic sensor is attached at the center of the front bumper of the vehicle and sends some garbage values when the way ahead is clear. If the distance of the obstacle decreases less than 20 inches, a warning buzzer rings. That's all from the innovation side.
Thank you, Prabhat, for showing these amazing innovations. And juniors, let me tell you something. The innovation shown here is just like a glimpse of what we have in our bucket. And when you join our team, you will get to know about a lot of interesting stuffs in detail. So now it's again question time, and again you have to answer in the chat box in the same manner. Okay, so the question is, tell me, what is the one futuristic skill you think you should learn irrespective of your career ambitions? Do remember only one futuristic skill you think you should learn. Innovation, web. Okay, coding, data science, IoT. Okay. I wanna see something. Okay. Nice. So here I can see very mixed responses from your side. You guys are really interesting. But majority of them are related to coding or programming. Okay, so all the coders in the house, be ready, cause the most awaited part for non-code lovers, WebD, is next. And for presenting it, we have Shams with us. So Shams, over to you.
Thanks, Aditya. Good evening, everyone. I am Shams from second year EC department, and along with my team, I'm going to explain about web development. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah. So first, let's talk about what is web or World Wide Web. It is a collection of web pages or websites stored in web servers so that users can access the contents from any part of the world over internet. Now, why do we need a website? Since people today have become very accustomed to searching the internet for information about their interests and technologies, so it is very necessary to have a professional website to stand out from the rest. The second thing is having a good website give us the opportunity to showcase everything that's great about our team, like our achievements, who we are, what we do, our aims, who to contact. And one more important thing is to attract the sponsors. As we have seen in the previous slides that how important is the role of sponsorship in our team. So better the website and the more information you offer, better will be its positioning. So it will receive more visitors and more will be the chances of getting sponsors. Now moving on to the next slide. Here you can see the glimpse of our team Revanta's website. Now, websites are of two types, static and dynamic. If the contents of the website is same for all the users, then it's a static website. And if the contents of the website depends on who the user is, then it's a dynamic website. Most of the websites these days are dynamic like YouTube, Netflix, Facebook. Static websites are pre-built and it's same every time the page is loaded. We can't do any changes in that. But in dynamic websites like ClickBuzz, every time you load the page, contents like scoreboard gets changed. So what do you think? Our team's website belongs to which category? Static or dynamic? Do let me know in the chat box your answers. Our team's website is static or dynamic? Yeah, static, dynamic, static, dynamic. Yes, most of you are correct. And the right answer is dynamic. And how is it dynamic? I'm leaving it to you to check out our team's website, teamrevanta.in. Now, for further thing about how we developed this website will be explained by Divyanshu and Ankit. So I would like to call Divyanshu to take over the presentation.
Thank you, Sams. Myself, Divyanshu from EC Department second year, and I will be discussing about the front end part of the website. The front end of the website is everything that user either sees or interact when they visit the website. Front end can be designed using web languages like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now we will discuss about these languages in detail. First one is HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is used to design the basic structure of any website. Now moving on to the next slide. Second one is CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is a style sheet language used for describing the presentation written in the markup language like HTML. CSS is used to style any website. Third one is JavaScript. JavaScript is the text-based programming language. It is most important language for web development purpose because we can design both front-end and back-end of website using JavaScript. JavaScript makes website interactive with the user. Now, let us visualize these terms using one analogy. If we assume our website a human body, then the skeletal system of the body will be the HTML, the skin and muscle of the body will be the CSS, and the brain of the body will be the JavaScript. That's all from my side. Now I will like to call Ankit to take over the present.
Hello everyone, I am Ankit Kumar from second year ECE department. I am here to explain about backend part of any website. Well, you would have seen the front end of website, but I think you would have not seen the backend part of website. I will tell you about this invisible part of any website. Websites can be made without using any backend part, but they are not much useful, or you can say that they are kind of a static website. If you want to make any dynamic website, you must have to use backend. Backend of a web application includes combination of servers, applications, and databases. Now here is the one term API. I think you would listen about API. If not, then I tell you. API is a short form of application programming interface. The word interface itself tells much more thing about API. API is a type of software interface. API is a type of software interface offering a service to another piece of software. Let's take an example to understand it better. Suppose you liked one of the posts in Facebook, then a request is made in the front end of Facebook by using an API. You can assume this API is like a messenger, and API will take your request and send it to server, and in server your like post is saved, and from server again API takes a response and send it to front end. I hope you will understand about API. So this is all from my side. Thank you.
So thank you, Ankit. And also I would like to thank all the juniors who showed their enthusiasm whole over the session and stayed till the end. And with this, I would like to conclude the workshop session of Team Revanta. And now it's time to call the man without whom not even the picture of the team can be imagined. The very hardworking, very talented, a great speaker, a overall team player, and also the man whom I myself admire the most. The captain of Team Revanta, Abhishek Kumar. So Abhishek sir, over to you.
थैंक यू चलो ठीक है, हो गया ना सबका, सब समझ गया। अब तुम लोग अनम्यूट कर सकते हो एवरीवन।
यस सर।
सही रहा?
Yes, sir.
मजा आया?
यस सर।
Yes, sir.
यस सर। सब सुने ना बढ़िया से?
यस सर।
यस आगे क्या करना है अभी तुम लोग को पता है। सबसे पहले तो भाई थैंक यू तुम लोग को, तुम लोग इतना देर तक अटेंड किए और इतना स्ट्रेंथ तक लाए बच्चा को। थैंक यू, सारा सीआर को थैंक यू। ठीक है, तो अभी तुम लोग सारा सी समझ गए। कुछ लोग का बीच में डाउट भी था, जैसे कि वेब डेवलपमेंट भी सिखाते हैं। हाँ भाई, हम लोग सिखाते हैं, हमारा टीम है। अभी तुम लोग अगर सुने होगे ध्यान से तो समझे होगे कि स्पॉन्सर्स को दिखाना पड़ता है कि ये वेबसाइट है हमारा, उसमें हमारा अचीवमेंट्स वगैरह होता है, वो देखते हैं, थोड़ा इम्प्रेस हो जाते हैं, उससे पैसा दे देते हैं। फिर भैया तो बताओ, तुम लोगों को कुछ डाउट है?
अभी किसी को भी कोई भी डाउट है तो माइक खोल के आराम से पूछ सकते हो।
आराम से पूछ सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। किसी को डाउट नहीं है कुछ?
सर एक
तो
डाउट
क्या
है
क्या सब? हाँ बोलो।
सर
वो
जैसे
डेट एंड टाइम कि वो फर्स्ट राउंड कब होगा?
एक एक करके क्या क्या फिर से बोलो।
सर वो जो टीम में अगर मान लीजिए सर हम लोग शामिल हो गए तो सर बाद में सर कभी ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि सर फंड वंड देना पड़ेगा हम लोग को, सर कुछ पैसे वैसे देने पड़ेंगे?
देखो फंड वंड देने का जहां तक बात रहा तो एक क्राइटेरिया होता है जिसे सबको पास करना पड़ता है, जो कि टीम में आके बताएंगे। और जहां तक बात रहा फंड, भाई फंड मैक्सिमम स्पॉन्सर से आते हैं। स्टूडेंट का टीम है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि स्टूडेंट आके पैसा देगा। स्टूडेंट काम करेगा ना यार, बात समझे?
यस सर, यस सर।
यस सर। नेक्स्ट। और एक कोई पूछ रहा था पीआई के बारे में समथिंग।
हाँ सर, सर ये इंडक्शन कब होगा, मतलब डेट एंड टाइम?
हाँ देखो, टीम रेवांता का इंडक्शन हो रहा है 3 से शुरू हो रहा है, ठीक है, 5 तक खत्म होगा। और टाइम जो होगा भाई, देखो मेहनत हम लोग को करना है, तुम लोग को तो आई थिंक तुम्हारा मैक्स टू मैक्स क्या बोलते हैं, दिन का एक इंटरव्यू होगा PI1 और एक इंटरव्यू होगा PI2, तो तुम्हें ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा। और किसी को कुछ क्वेश्चन? बोलो। देखो तुम लोग क्वेश्चन पूछ लो, फिर थोड़ा हम अपने एक्सपीरियंस बताएंगे, अपनी जर्नी बताएंगे टीम के रिगार्डिंग।
सर रिटर्न भी होगा सर?
हाँ रिटर्न नहीं होगा, एक्टिव होगा भाई, MCQ टाइप का।
सर पीआई में लैंग्वेज कोई प्रिपेयर्ड होता है?
नहीं, लैंग्वेज इन सेंस मतलब वोकैबुलरी और क्या
मतलब
बोलने
हाँ,
का?
मतलब कि इंग्लिश या फिर हिंदी?
हम हिंदी में बात कर रहे हैं ना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, जिसमें मन क्या है उसमें बोलो। सेकेंड ईयर में इंडक्शन होता है सर।
थैंक यू।
देखो सेकेंड ईयर का इंडक्शन के बारे में हम अगेन बोल रहे हैं कि सेकेंड ईयर के इंडक्शन के बारे में हम अगेन बोल रहे हैं, तुम लोग एक सेकेंड।
या हम हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं?